All right, tell us about...
So much here. It's like, woo.
So we've talked about assets. We've talked about income. What are some of the techniques you use to help individuals qualify for Medicaid if, when they come and talk to you, they have assets, income over and above what would be allowable?
You'll find, and I'm sure you found in your own experience, when you're dealing with clients, Bob, many clients don't really know everything that they have. So
Right.
the most challenging aspect is to get them to list their assets.
Make an inventory.
Typically, people don't, at that age, have a hard time reading. So sometimes you sit down there and you actually interview them and ask them, how much is your home worth? How much cash do you have there? What do you, and you begin to write those things down, and then you can put together a picture for them, because really you are looking at those income levels and those asset levels. And if the spouse is at home, you're wanting to preserve those things for the spouse and for the children.
So I think the last program we did, we talked a little bit about gifting.
Gifting, yes.
So what about if we get a specific example of that? Can
Well,
you?
Gifting is wonderful, but Medicaid says that if you gift specifically to get around the rules of the asset test, then you're going to have a penalty period.
Yes.
So what you have to do is plan your gift or that redistribution of that money beforehand.
Well in advance.
Right. Once again, with the legal and financial counsel. They're qualified to advise you on that.
Yes. And so you can preserve those gifts for your family, your assets. And
The bulk of that wealth, Mary, yes.
Yes.
In many cases.
All right. So then,
gosh.
let's go to what you and I and Mary had talked about when I think you've prepared some case
Some
studies.
examples.
Oh, let's go to those.
What might be an example of some specific cases? Let's say the first one we can talk about, the marital crisis case.
Yes, what is a crisis case, by the way? How would you define it, Bob?
I don't know. I've been married 40 years. I haven't had many crises. So
No, not that
I'm
time in
pretty
marriage. Long-term care crisis. Let me rephrase my apology.
Long-term care crisis, I think, is probably for someone who's done absolutely no planning for that particular situation.
And all of a sudden, you have an illness, a serious illness, and you end up needing
And you go on for months and years where that spouse takes care of you. What happens to that spouse that's taken care of?
Has a meltdown.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's more danger. There's a high level of
the caregiver
risk.
goes first because
the health of that
burdened.
caregiver can go quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, people don't realize that. Being
So
a
that's what we
caregiver
call a crisis. That
is so
person needs
stressful.
24/7 care.
Yeah. All right. So what do you do?
Well, in this case, we had John and Mary Smith. I think you put together some details on that in case somebody wanted to. Ask me about that.
I think what happened is we had. Well, you go on this.
They're
one.
in
You
their
talk about that.
70s.
Okay.
They're in their 70s. Mary and John Smith, 75, 73 years old. They have a residence, and it's worth about $165,000.
Paid off, we assume.
Paid off,
Okay.
yes. Their total countable resources are about $200,000.
Probably CDs and savings accounts,
Little bit of
retirement things.
everything.
Let me get something clear though with that. When we say total countable resources, we're including the house. So they don't have the house. Is a
No,
small-
we're not.
Okay, good.
Oh.
So it's 165
House is exempt.
over. Okay.
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 So 200,000 in addition to the house.
And their monthly income, John's is about $1,600, and Mary's is about $900. Okay, so we've got that. Mary is in a nursing home. She's currently in a nursing home. And of course, the nursing home bill is about $5,500, more or less, $5,500. And their health insurance is about $200.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to give the problem with it now.
And I'm going to write these down while you talk, Bob.
So now they have, from the situation we're talking about, they have unreimbursed medical expenses of $5,700, monthly living expenses of $1,050.
Okay.
That's a total of $6,750, less monthly income of $2,500, which leaves a shortfall of $4,250.
That's correct.
So figure it out for us.
Well,
Make it work.
You know that as an attorney, first thing you're going to ask, how's the home title?
Right.
And you could.
And we're figuring both names.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's title in both names.
most of the time in both names.
First thing I'm going to do is let you know that Mary's probably, in this case, I think Mary's the one going into the home.
Yes.
So John is actually older, but he's staying at home. He's the community spouse. So Mary would be the institutional spouse. She's going to go to the long-term care facility. By the way, it's going to be a very sad time for them.
Yes.
But first thing we want to do with John is reduce the assets, what we call that countable category, the cash and CDs and the retirement, to basically $109,500 for John. That's what we call the CSRA, or Community Spouse Resource Allowance. Don't have time to go into it.
Okay.
It's just a strategy that we use. That's
We might
allowed
have
by
to have
Medicaid.
another program.
And it can go on and
boy.
on. But we're going to shift some of Mary's income back to John, because John has to pay bills at home. We don't
Yes.
want him to go through that cash. And also, at that time, we're going to recommend that John and Mary sit down and plan their funeral, their last wishes. This is a subject to be avoided, but can become a subject of great acrimony with family members. So let's get that out of the way. By the way, there's a lot more to this than just accessing Medicaid. We're talking about estate planning or wealth protection.
For everything.
Yes.
Medicaid is a
Yes.
part of it.
Yeah, and this is a great way to go ahead and get your will. At this point, Bob, you'd recommend that John and Mary do their estate documents,
sure.
statutory
Make
documents.
sure the papers are in order.
And let's do it while we're of sound mind.
Documents.
Maybe there's a question with Mary's mental abilities, so we need to get this done quickly. We're going to probably buy a new car for John just to shift some more cash. We'll set up a couple of trusts that we can use, one to pay the nursing home for Mary and the other to set aside for John and for his benefit. And then also, Bob, there's going to do something you're very familiar with, is we're going to title the home to where the kids can receive it.
Do like a life estate deed, something like
Yeah,
that.
and not to be too specific depending on the state. But here's the bottom line. In this case, Mary, I think, well, based on the calculations and numbers you gave me, would be eligible for Medicaid in just 4 months with this technique, as opposed to waiting
Yes.
the entire amount and spending all the family money. So it's going to save the estate $236,630, and then also the value of the home combined with that.
Yes.
Mary also will be shifting or giving, what we call giving or transferring some of her money back to John. So John's monthly income will go up to $1,750 a month. And the good news is that other trust that was set up for John's benefit will also grow in value over that time. And then the good news is MERP, Medicaid Estate Recovery Program, of which we're all familiar with, and it operates in every state.
Yes.
Because of the various Medicaid laws. But basically, MERP is designed to retrieve assets and pay off old Medicaid debts once the beneficiary passes. In this case, the home will be completely protected.